Employees everywhere have been affected by COVID-19, and that rings especially true for our country's domestic workers, the majority of which are women, mostly immigrant women and women of color. Joining us now to talk more about these impacts is the co-founder and executive director of the National Domestic Workers Alliance, Ai-jen Poo. Ai-jen, thank you so much for being with us today. And historically, domestic workers have been undervalued. They have been underpaid here in the United States. Can you talk about why that is?
Well, domestic workers are the nannies who take care of our children, the home care workers who take care of our elderly and our loved ones with disabilities, and the cleaners who maintain safety and order in our homes. And this work has always been associated with women, and as a profession, it's always been associated with Black women and immigrant women of color, and there's been a long history of racial exclusion that this workforce has been subjected to, dating all the way back to the New Deal when our nation's labor laws were put into place. And so that history of racial exclusion has shaped the conditions to this day, whereby most domestic workers earn poverty wages, don't have any access to a safety net or paid leave, paid time off, or health care. And that has meant a really devastating context to enter into this pandemic with.
That's right. As you mentioned, these issues have been amplified, especially amongst Black and Latino domestic workers, not only with this pandemic, but also with the fight against police brutality. You have 250,000 members in your organization. What have they told you?
They have told us that this pandemic has been devastating. They were among the first to lose their income and jobs, and they've been incredibly hard hit by the pandemic without access to testing or treatment. Domestic workers have been struggling to put food on the table and care for their own families throughout this crisis, and many of them are continuing to work as part of our essential workforce, caring for some of the most vulnerable populations to the virus, including older people or people with chronic illnesses, providing life-saving services, and doing so without protective equipment, without child care for their own children who are home from school, without access to testing or treatment. And on top of that, generations of racial violence and targeting by the police has been laid bare, and it's a fight for survival for their very lives.
So if someone who is watching this employs a domestic worker or is looking to employ one, what are some of the things they should be aware of right now?
Well, it begins with really good communication, having an open conversation about what it looks like to be safe in the workplace when your home is a workplace. It begins with having a fair work agreement and taking all the necessary safety precautions, having a conversation about what's the safest way to get to work, to and from work, and also planning for some of the worst case scenarios. All of this is about good communication, and we lay it out really clearly in our guidelines, which can be found on our website, employers.domesticworkers.org.
Ai-jen Poo, thank you so much for all that you're doing for so many, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.